Yes. Welcome to Put Your Family First Podcast. Dropping the best original score for the upcoming Podskirts. Yes, we are in the game. I have not participated the first 2 years. This year, I'm in the game. So it's going down. Best original song. Best original song for the Podskirts. Right, you have until Sunday, which is actually my birthday, to vote for Put Your Family First Podcast. Duo, original song, and community impact. Yeah. Let's get it. Today we are in the building, still pushing. Shout out to Michigan Black Business Alliance for showing us love on the She Can Too design. Yeah. She can too do anything that she's capable of doing, that God gave her a vision to do. And we wanted to make sure that we continue. Tomorrow we're dropping a new design. She can hoop too. Right? As we continue the collection and spreading the word. In the building today, we have a special guest. We're going to let Heather do her thing because this is a girl thing, so she can too. Right? But hello, Heather.
Hello.
Hello, Brother Dave.
Hey.
So before we really get into this conversation and go to work, I really am in a position at this point to share a message that I think is important right now at this time. And yesterday I kind of got into it, right? Mm-hmm. I think one of the things I had came across the quote from Teddy Roosevelt about if you see a problem and you don't pose a solution, you're just whining. Right? And oftentimes we see a lot of problems, a lot of people, we got a lot of brokenness, angriness, emotional. We have verbal condemnation of the culture where we constantly spit what we can't do versus and we have proof of what we can do, right? And so I really wanted to drop this in the lap for today, right? This whole she can too thing, right? As a design for apparel, for EMI apparel, right? This whole collection. Right, I talked about it before. It's tagged to the strength of what I've seen in a woman, my mom. Right, so I've seen a woman who had her own record label in '69, who had 2 charter buses, who ran groups and taught gospel singers, and you know what I mean. Although she was mad at her sons, right, because we was too much like our daddy, right? But I say that because that was her philosophy for people, right? She never, when she was taking prostitutes off the streets from her brother who was pimping, that was her antidote, was that you could become whatever God has intended for you. You never had to be. So people, my mother's name was Olibel Rosetta McNeil Mann, right? And she came from my grandmother Vernice McNeil, right? Who was a Miller. What's the contradiction of that, right? And so my great grandparents, Alexander and Artemisia, was my great grandmother's name, right? So I got a video, I can't find it. I videotaped my great grandmother, right? My point for all of that is if we don't raise the culture in family, and that somehow we believe that these terms of you'll be okay, the terms that we can't really become, right? The terms that somehow that racism is the only thing that we're supposed to hang on to. Now, in research, it's heavy. I get it, right? But there's also a gang of people who's not wallowing in that space. So I just want to start that off because this is going to be an interesting conversation today. With that being said, again, my birthday is this Sunday. For those of you who got the invite, will be with me Saturday night, right? And that was on purpose, right? Because those are the people I want to spend my time with, right? Anyway, just excited about that, excited about the brand. And I came in on one because there's been some real significant, how do I put this? Some real significant care applied to the vision of EMI Apparel. So with that being said, Dr. Heather do your thing.
Okay, so Speaking of birthdays, I want to just acknowledge that our guest, and I'm saying her name correctly now, Taitiana, that she just recently had a birthday too.
Are you a Virgo?
Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely.
That explains it. That explains it. That explains it.
If you thought you were at mid-level,
Right. He's
I've been
gone
telling
now.
y'all better get you a Virgo.
He's gone now. So, and our topic today is family wellness and families with special needs. And so, Taitiana, I just want you to know, I saw your article in Voyage, Michigan. So I pulled some questions and information out of that too. So, I already know since we met, the day we met, and if you guys don't mind me sharing, Calvin, you okay with me sharing?
Get on, baby. Get on.
Okay, so we were at a self-care day with Black executive directors of Detroit. And one of the options in the self-care was a massage. And I met this amazing woman. So I was sharing a room with Calvin. So I had a male masseuse, and he had a female
Automatically.
masseuse.
Yes.
But Calvin kept going back like second helpings to a table. She put him.
she didn't go deep enough, so you need a second.
So she did one, and then I went to another young lady where I was rudely interrupted for my second one, so they had to give me a third one.
Right. But just the care, just the energy, just the space that she created just made the whole day it started us out right. And the other male masseuse, he was awesome too. Very generous, and especially with my husband sitting in the room. But but when I talked to her, we had a chance to talk, and the awesomeness that you guys are about to experience with us today, it just can't compare to having such a kind and gentle spirit in your space. One who is committed, who has a vision, and the fact that she's a Virgo explains it all. Because I'm just gonna say just a few of her roles. And these are just the ones that I have learned about. We're back to the Virgo. You guys heard me with that first. Okay. So she's an entrepreneur, a wife, a mom, a minister, a prophetess, a dancer, a writer, a creator, and she owns an amazing spa. So that's just what I know. I know that this conversation is going to reveal so much more. And I just want to thank you for being here, for agreeing to be here, for giving us insight to family wellness, give us insight to what a strong family unit looks like, and what a strong family unit that's rooted and grounded in our source looks like. And so I want you just to introduce yourself, and then I have some prompting questions that we can take along this journey.
Well, first, thank you for inviting me. It is an honor just to sit amongst all of you. My name is Taitiana Brantley, and as Heather already let you guys know, yes, I am a wife, a mother, a woman of God, an entrepreneur, a student. I'm back in school. I have a lot of things that are going on, but glory be to God to be able to do it in the midst of going into our topic being a parent of special needs children. So
that's super awesome. So tell us a little bit about your journey to get started.
So, oh my goodness, my journey did not start until later in life, just because I come from a product of childhood abuse. And so I left home when I was 14 years old, trying to figure it out. There were times I was homeless in high school, trying to just survive by any means necessary, despite the things that I was told, And I just thank God for a relationship with him at a young age, because regardless of what my abusers would tell me, and you ain't nothing, you ain't gonna never be nothing, and all of these things, there was always an internal fight that I didn't understand at the time, even when I wanted to give up. So I thank God just for his spirit being in me, even when everything around me didn't make sense and I should have given up. And so that brought me to a place of understanding that God has something greater for me. And so I was tired of trying to figure out things on my own, in a sense of, I want to do this and I want to do that, and all of these things that oh, you're great at this, you should do this, and I'm like, yeah, I am good at it. And just seeking God to say, what do you want me to do? What is it that you've placed inside of me that you are trying to pull out of me? What is my purpose? All of the things that I've been through, that survival was not just for me. And if I could be the person that I prayed for to have around me when I was going through the things that I didn't have access to, as far as the encouragement or the help, or if I could be that for somebody to show them that, especially in a day and time where mental illness is running rampant, suicide is running rampant, how can you use everything that was meant for my bad, for the good, not just for me, God, but for those that you place into my life? And so my journey really started with seeking God for what he created me for, versus trying to pursue life based off of my own desires. And it started with the prayer of, God, I not only surrender my will to your will, but my desires, if my desires do not align with the desires you have for my life, God, just take it away and replace it with the desires of your heart. And so that's truly where my journey started.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
That is.
So are you from Detroit, Metro Detroit?
Yes, yes, from Detroit. Spent a lot of my youth in Highland Park as well. So, but yes, born and raised in Detroit. Been in Detroit all my life. Spent a few of my adult years in the outskirts of Detroit, like just right across the street city limit. And found my way back in Detroit again. And so, yes, I am a thoroughbred Detroiter.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell us about at least some of the trends that you're seeing in family wellness from your professional perspective and from being a community family and seeing what happens with family.
So a lot of the trends that I am seeing, unfortunately, are just that, trends. We live in the era of technology, TikTok, and these things. And so a lot of times what I'm seeing is people are pursuing wellness. They're pursuing but they're not understanding what it truly means. And so whatever the trend is, and they see others doing, they're like, oh, I want to do this, I should try this. And unfortunately, they are being educated by content creators versus those who maybe specialize in those areas. And sometimes these content creators do their research and they give them good information, and then sometimes they don't. And what I find myself seeing is when it doesn't work, they tend to draw back, and then they feel like it won't work. And it's not that it won't, it's just that wellness is not a one size fits all. You know, you have to look at the dynamics of the individuals involved, the lifestyle, the family, even down to schedule. The one thing that as a minister that I got frowned upon is having available hours on Sundays for my spa. Most, in that industry, Sundays and Mondays, most places are closed unless it's a chain place, right? But I say ministry is outside of the four walls of the church.
Teach it.
And some people may never step foot inside of the church building. But if my spa is open on these days to where if God has given me the gift of healing in my hands, I can do it through a massage, I can do it through a facial, I can do it through having a listening ear so that they can receive inner healing and deliver however God wants to use me. And if my Savior didn't have to stand in the synagogues to do the works of God, and he said, I've given you the same power to do this and greater. I don't believe that God wants us all inside the walls of the church and doing the work there by itself. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we all have a different call. We all have a different anointing. And that's where God said, you have a marketplace ministry. And so,
I like that. Say it again. Marketplace
ministry. Yeah.
Oh, that's powerful.
So, unfortunately, the trends I've been seeing are just as trends. It's these things that come and go. Where I believe in wellness from the inside out, right? And it starts with the mindset as well. It's not just taking supplements, it's not just pampering yourself, it's not just going to the gym, but you can do all of these things and look a certain way on the outside and you're jacked up in the mind. And so when we bring ourselves to a space of one, being real with ourselves, being real with our Creator, and understanding that you are not alone. And that even if you feel like you are, you still have a Heavenly Father that listens. And he will sometimes send you what you need through people that you least expect it. A lot of times we chase our vision of his promise versus letting the one who wrote the promise also write the blueprint for it, and so
how do you and how have you worked with and or seen families and experienced too, because it's a lot about your lived experience with special needs?
So unfortunately, when you talk about parents with special needs, whether it's a two-parent household or one, the struggle is heavy. So a lot of times what I find is, one, the parents feel guilty about self-care and feel guilty about doing things for themselves, because with special needs children, there's always going to be a challenge. Because there are going to be areas that they're strong in, and then there's going to be areas that they're delayed. But most of the time, the areas that they're delayed is a significant difference from the counterpart of a neurotypical child, a child without any diagnosis. And so as a parent, a lot of times we feel like, okay, yes, we've accomplished this, but I can't do this because there's so much more that I need to do for my child. And sometimes we get judged in a sense of, because they think we're doing it because we want our child to fit in, or we don't want our child to look a certain kind of way. And you have some parents that struggle with that. based off of how they're raised and their community they're in. But a lot of times it's from the moment you get that diagnosis and you do your research on the probabilities, in a sense of it can be this or it can be that, your mind starts to wander of what happens when the Lord lays me to rest. Mm-hmm. Who's going to care for my child? Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to do these things? And so like now you feel like I got to work even harder, because when you have a child that is 8 years old that's still not potty trained because they don't know how to read the feeling in their body when they need to go, or they have sensory issues, so now they're squeezing and holding it, now they're dealing with severe constipation. Children that are nonverbal, that can't express their needs. A child that, like my daughter with cerebral palsy, she was born into a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. She cannot sit up on her own. She's learned how to roll over and how to scoop, but there's so many things she's unable to do. And it's like, okay, she's about to be 6, and the level as far as her motor skill is of a toddler that has not quite learned to crawl yet. And so when you think about these things, and then the stress that comes with parents, and we know stress kills. Mm-hmm. So a lot of special needs parents start dealing with their own health issues, the manifestation of that stress. And so now it becomes even more heightened, because now I'm dealing with health issues. And the thing that nobody wants to say, but I'm gonna say it out loud for anyone that's watching that has special needs children, that they're afraid to say because of the judgment. But I know this is a common thing of, I have to outlive my child. Mm-hmm. Most parents think of, I should never outlive my child. My child should be the one burying me. But when you have special needs children that you know are going to need a lifetime of care, you pray that you outlive them. And if the Lord takes you, it's right afterwards. That you are around to cover them, to watch after them, to make sure that they're okay, because it's not like I've raised them to this point and now they're off on their own and I know they're gonna be okay. And this is the things, these silent things that eat away, because they're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid of being judged. There's not enough communities for special needs that are safe spaces for the parents and the caregivers. Because when you talk about, my oldest is 20. She has her own place. She's living on her own, and that is a total blessing. But I have 3 younger ones, 7, 5, and 4. And one of them alone, outside of physical, speech, and occupational therapy, have what's called ABA, and that's 40 hours a week. That is not including the other therapies. That is not including school. That is not including doctors or specialist appointments. 40 hours. And just think, some of adults complain about 40-hour work weeks. And this is a 5-year-old. And this is what her life consists of, which means this is what my life consists of, right? And so these are the things that I'm seeing. And you can see where they're starting to lose the light in their eyes. They're starting to, their responses to things are almost like robotic, because I have to put on this and I have to be strong and I have to this and that. But they're spiritually withering away, the parents. And then to not have a support system too, because all of the people who were excited about the pregnancy, all of the people that celebrated you at the baby shower, all of the people that couldn't wait when that diagnosis came and they noticed your child was different, they're nowhere to be found. You no longer get the invites to things that's going on. You no longer are aware, like, these things are going on, even in the own family. my dad has 9 children. I'm the baby girl. I have 1 younger brother. I have 1 sibling and 1 sibling only who has ever watched any of my children. Any of them. I have some that if we did not go to the same ministry during the time I had them, probably would not have ever met my children. My 5-year-old has had 20 surgeries by the age of 5.
Yeah.
And none of them have called before, during, or afterwards, have come to check, hey, what's going on? She okay? You know, do you need anything? We know you have other children at the house. Can we drop off a dish? Any of these things. Most of the time, they find out what's going on through someone else we're both connected to. And they're like, oh, I had no idea. I remember showing up to an event and I had family members that did not know my daughter was in a wheelchair. And it's like, she was born in a wheelchair. What? And so you begin to feel isolated. And then you have the family that want to help, but they're ignorant to what it is. And so they judge and they say, oh, they just need more discipline, or they just need this, or they just need that. And they do not understand.
So what was your pivot to all this that you were dealing with? What is your pivot in dealing with, and how they can learn to deal with? I know Dave has a child that was supposed to not make it past the age of what?
She wasn't supposed to make it that day, and now she's 33 years old. When you just to inject before you
go ahead,
just real quickly, when you were talking, all I was doing was reliving it. You were the movie I lived. I mean, you're experiencing now. Our daughter's a little older, and it only makes me value her mother even more. I tell her she was the best person for the job. So you go ahead, Cal.
No, go ahead. Do you think?
You know, because everything you said, you know, people will tell you, if I had her, she'd be walking, she'd be doing this. You know, you hear these things, but I understand that people lack knowledge. So you said that they don't understand.
But you know what my response to that is, but you don't have her. You don't. And I count it an honor that God not only trusted me with 1, but multiple special needs children. God knows what we can and can't be trusted with. And you're saying what you would do if you had. And that is exactly why God didn't do it for you.
Wow.
Yeah, as I said, the best person for the job. We also have a special needs son. He's autistic. And you said you hope you outlive them. I love that you brought that to the point, because you know, you look and you say, well, who's going to do it? I've lived my life thinking I got to make this kind of money, I got to do this. I'm an overachiever anyway, but I have to do all these things because, and I tell my son just yesterday, I said, son, you have to, you know, in these struggles, you have to look at these things. I don't want my son to be alone. I told him this, I said, son, get a friend, have 1 friend. I said, don't matter if male or female, get a friend. I don't want you to be alone. But the world is very cruel. And again, my people struggle with a lack of knowledge. They don't know, so they can't show. So I had to change the expectation. My former wife had to change the expectation. And the other part of what you're talking about, you're blessed to have a husband who supports you. I've never backed off from my mother, my children's mother, never. I was in Iraq and my son would do what I say because, hey, he know your mother say this, I don't care what's going on. Honor thy mother and thy father. But it's the sadness of knowing that you go through these experiences and you think about, if I'm not here, what's going to happen? And it's with my daughter yesterday, the bundle of joy. She can only say 2 words, oh God and good God. Oh God and good God. You can't say nothing else. Can't say mama, can't say daddy. But that investment, that time, the energy, and unfortunately, people don't get it. So, without going any further, it's just all it was reliving that moment. When our popastor told us, y'all must have sinned, you must have done something wrong.
Yes.
You put my
you'd be shocked
in the hospital because she still lives with this guilt, and you know it's hard to get it out. But you know,
as a mother, you already deal with the did I do something wrong during the pregnancy type thing. You deal with these things, right? Could I have done something differently? Because my 5-year-old, who's autistic and with cerebral palsy, she has about 25 other different diagnoses, and some of them are so rare. They said that in every 1.5 million pregnancies, only about every one pregnancy develops it. And so they did not expect me to make it to term. When I made it, I had her 2.5 months early. They did not expect her to make it past the first week of life. They were planning to not do her initial brain surgery and just wanted to make her comfortable. And so we were in here talking before the podcast started, and I was saying how you have to deal, especially coming up in ministry, and sometimes you hear these things that I thank God for putting me in this position, because I could have went with the flow of all of these things that are not biblically correct that I was taught, being the diagnosis being rebuked. Saying that, sin or generational curses and these different things. But if God is our creator and he makes no mistakes, and the one thing that when I was I had only had one child at the time, I remember saying, God, I give you permission to use me as a platform for your glory. And I remember having a conversation with someone who tried to rebuke the diagnosis. I said, why is it that when we hear a diagnosis, we automatically go into rebuking or come up out of sin or these different things? I said, and what my discernment through the Holy Spirit is telling me, that ain't faith, that's fear that's driving you. Because if my God is a healer, and I testify that, I ain't afraid of no diagnosis. And if the diagnosis does overcome, that means that it was in God's plan. I don't question it. And at the end of the day is that in order for God's glory to shine, there has to be something that not a man, not a doctor, not anything can do anything about or take credit for. And so, yes, my children have these diagnoses. Yes, 3 out of the 4 are considered nonverbal. Yes, but years before I got pregnant, I have 3 daughters, 1 son. When my oldest, who's 20 now, was about 2, and my son will be 8 this month. He's a Virgo too. God promised me a son and said he'll be a prophet to preach to the nations. And he's diagnosed nonverbal. Do I give in to what the diagnosis is, or do I trust that this is an opportunity for God's glory?
Hold that thought. Take us to commercial. Wow. I have been wowed.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation. So, like Aisha, that's one of the reasons we have another sister that's an advocate to help parents understand how to advocate for your child in school. How to navigate the IEP, how to navigate getting the resources and what's legally yours to have. And so this conversation is so important and impactful. It impacts a lot of people. It impacts a lot of people on so many different levels. And even in the levels that you've even talked about, that you are enlightening us on. Super important. Yeah, super important.
So many levels.
She tells all of her children that they must solve problems. She explains the power and the dynamic that she carries throughout life, the impact that she holds in this world. She Can Too by EMIY Apparel. She can run She can hoop. She can lead. She can love. There are not many things that she can't do. But one thing's for sure. Her power is unapologetic, and her work is relentless. On August 31st, EMIY Apparel drops She Can Too.
Awesome. So my question, because I know I've taken this over. Thank you. My question is, can you give parents 3 things that they can focus on while dealing with?
So I'm going to always say first and foremost with anything in life is having a prayer life. A prayer life. And not just the rhetorical prayers. I mean that ugly snot running out your nose, crying, being able to just release and let everything out. Having that type of prayer life where even if I don't get an answer right now, I just need to release and be in a place to where God give me peace, even when I don't understand what's going on. That's going to be the biggest thing, is that prayer, because I remember speaking with Dr. Heather one time about how we hear so many times people say, God won't put more on you than you can bear. And I say they take that scripture so out of context, right? That was speaking on temptation. He won't put more temptation on you that you're unable to walk away from. Because the scripture says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And if he does not put more on us than we can bear, why would we need Christ to strengthen us? Why would we need God if we can bear it all? So remembering that if you're in this place where it feels overwhelming, I have no problem saying, God, you gave me these babies. You got to do something. In that raw prayer of it's not what we're taught prayer is supposed to be. That's going to be the first thing. The second thing is finding something that's for you, just for you, not for your kids, not something that benefits them in their diagnosis, but something that is just for you, that you don't have to share unless you just want to. That thing, and not feeling guilty about it. And then the third thing is, don't look for community in those that have already showed you they're not community, whether it be family, friends you grew up with. Sometimes God allows us to have special needs children to give us a new community.
That's good. That's good. So it in the process, because again, sharing you, Dave, right? When people see the level of special needs, like we grew up in high school, it was special education, right? we literally, there was a class, 214, never forget it, it's 214B, right? Turns out, right, that these kids were not specially educated. They were, some had delays, some were slow learners, right? But these people that come out of that class were people. I think a lot of times what happens is that we get into the spaces that where we see the person with a handicap. Back in 1984, the Tigers won the World Series. A friend of mine, I got kicked out of college, and she took me to the Special Olympics. I was the stranger. Right? At the Special Olympics, like, I'm in there, I'm sobbing the whole day. Like, I couldn't stop crying, right? Because I was in amazement in watching people function in their space at the highest level. Things I could not do, they were doing. We have to move out of that space, which is what I talked about at the beginning. As a culture, we have to move out of the space of can't. One of my quotes, Ms. Hall used to say this to us when we was growing up, and I kept it. Can't is a coward that never tries. Right? And she always would say that whenever we were busting in Ms. Hall's house, it might be for a football game. Remember, can't is a coward that never tries, right? So we stretch that, right? We stretch that conversation. I personally cannot thank you both. I watch Dave give consistently beyond, right, something for you, back to what you were saying. You need something for you. I know you got a flyer for her. If we could show your flyer and you could tell us a little bit about this.
So, as you guys probably already know, I have a heart for caregivers of special needs and special needs, just because of just the statistics with not just the suicide rate for special need individuals, but also the rate of mental health illness, depression, thoughts of suicide for caregivers, that burnout and everything. And so this special here is where for the whole month, and when I say teacher and caregivers, if you're a parent with special needs children, you're a caregiver. If you work in the school system as a nurse, as a aide in the classroom, you're a caregiver. So they receive 15% off of all full price services. And then I also have some different packages up here where they'll the first package is they'll get a full body massage. That's an hour body massage with a soothing aromatherapy towel treatment. And then the second one is the full body massage with a deep cleansing facial, a 24 karat gold mask, and a hot towel aromatherapy treatment. My massages focuses on releasing tension that we tend to carry throughout our bodies. It focuses on not just relaxation, but I want them to get a full experience. And how I have my spa set up, most of the time people that come, they don't want to leave. And that, for me, that's a good thing. It comes with snacks, drinks, as far as like water, soda. I have wine for those who drink wine. Everything is all inclusive. Coffee bar, tea bar. I want to create a space where if it's only for an hour that you have to come in and get a service, I want you to feel like you just came off a vacation, when you leave out. Eventually, the goal is to have a full service spa that caters to special needs and their caregivers. Right now, I'm in a suite. But my goal is to get my own building to have lifts for individuals in wheelchairs, to lift them out of their chairs, put them on the spa beds, to come get therapeutic massages that's in a physical therapist's office with the white coat and the so sterile. They can feel like they're coming and getting these luxury services, even though it's catered to the things that they need within their body. Having a daycare inside the spa that specializes with special needs for parents that don't have a support system but need to be poured back into, they can still come. So this is everyone that comes and supports me now is helping build this vision to build that community that we need that's not out there, and to change this industry of what special needs is not a demographic. To most entrepreneurs, that's not in a medical field. It is the very last, if it is a thought of a demographic. When I was in school and we went over the business side, it was, we had to talk about our targeted demographic. And when everything that I'm hearing everybody say, even those that I want to go over working moms and this and that, such and such. And I said, I'm my demographic. My children are my demographic. I give them massages. My son has got to the point he takes my massage chair and he drags it. He goes, when he let me know he wants a massage. I give them massages.
I'm gonna be speaking like your son.
And so I want to have this space that, and then to not worry about the children that may have vocal stems or different things, and it's like, shh, got it. I want them to come be themselves. I want it to be a resource center, and so it starts with one, encouraging the parents to show them that this is needed, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. Come out and get poured into. Come out and treat yourself. Come out and be in this place, because just a massage is not just about relaxation. A lot of people don't know massage can help with so many different health issues as well, and things that we're dealing with in our body. My son, severe constipation. I do massages, abdominal massages, to help alleviate that, which a lot of autistic children struggle with, is constipation. So these are different things that I have a passion for, is building, seeing the need, and actually doing something about it. Like how I love how you started it off, the quote. Because I see a need and I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to be the difference to go out here and say, and not because I think this is a good financial investment. Not because everybody is jumping on these trends with sensory hours in their businesses. And most of the time, guess what? If you look at the sensory hour in a business, it's the day and time of the week that they're not getting business anyway. So it was a marketing scheme to try to pull it in where they were lacking already. And it's like, these things are the bare minimum. I want to change the way the world views children like mine. And a lot of things, people don't know I'm autistic. Their mindset of what it means and what they think autism is, or what they think a special needs is or isn't. And so it's one of those things. It's like, how do we bridge the gap? How do we create a community that offer resources, that offers the things that we need, but also bridge the gap? Because it's not about awareness. People are aware of these things. It's about education and acceptance. Because so many times the awareness stops, and then it's the trying to change. I get you have this diagnosis, but I want you to behave this way. I want you to think this way. I want you to act this way. And what a lot of people don't know, when you're autistic, That's called masking. When you have these things that naturally you think a certain way, or you stem and you're being told you can't, you start to mask. And masking puts a mental or psychological stress on you, which puts a physical stress on you that causes you to shut down, that can cause behavioral issues with that autistic individual, with the burnout, the overstimulation, and these different things. And can you imagine, as a person without a diagnosis, being told by every doctor, every therapist, every teacher, every person in your life that you shouldn't be you. You need to pretend to be somebody else. So that's essentially what they're telling our babies.
You know what you said, and before I get into that, I need you to look in the camera, say your name, and then say, encourage me, I'm young.
Taitiana Brantley. Encourage me, I'm young.
Thank you. So, Dave, where can they meet you at?
You can give me FMAM, For Men About Men on Facebook, and DROM7@yahoo.com.
Heather, you got a second or two?
Just to give my information?
Your information and some words. I know you got some words.
You know I have some words. So before I give my information, because I think this is more important, I so appreciate you sharing, especially the experience with autism and what we and the boxes we force people into. And I think part of what I would like to see and encourage, because you don't really think about adults with autism. And if you do, you put them in a box. And so how can our community, our culture help support that education of how do we support versus put people in a box?
Let autistic voices rise. We have so many people that want to speak on behalf of us. Mm. And then when we speak, it's like, oh no, well, that's not it, because I have a cousin who has a friend whose nephew is autistic. That's one person on the spectrum. That's so wide. And a lot of times we're muzzled. They think we don't understand ourselves. Mm. They think that we can't. And then sometimes I get like education, and this is the field you're in, and you've studied this. But as someone, I was diagnosed with diabetes at 6 years old. I just turned 41. I am an expert at diabetes when it comes to me over any doctor, because I know how it affects me. I live with it 24/7 for how many years? You know the medical side. I know internally how it affects me. So if you are not willing to listen to me, you are just trying to prove that you're right versus helping. Mm-hmm. And so we have to come into these spaces of allowing the room for autistic voices to rise. And if we say, the one thing about most autistics is they gon' say what they mean and mean what they say. And we get in trouble from childhood on up about our mouths, in the sense of that's rude or that's impolite. It's just, for us, we don't intend to hurt feelings, but if it's the truth, we have to say it how we feel it, how we see it, how we perceive it, because anything else is confusing. So if we say it, we want you to hear us, and we want you to believe us, and we want you to be able to listen to the need and not try to overpower us or
normalize. Normalize.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of times, a lot of the things get downplayed. Or the one thing I hear a lot is, oh, I think everybody has a touch of autism. Oh, we're all a little autistic.
Yeah, that's the playoff.
OCD.
Heather, where can they
be coming up with?
Yeah.
All right. Where can they meet you at?
You can find me at Your Inspired with a D, Your Inspired Journey, and you can also reach me by phone at 313-759-7855.
You can reach me at EMIYapparel.com, 313-590-1142. I am most definitely aware, right? You can have awareness of differences, things like that, but we gotta have more empathy. And in that regard, I remember being away in Washington, D.C. It was all about men can stop rape, right? We're at this workshop, and as we were going through this process, it was all about words. By the end of that whole training, it came down to the words we chose to say to women. It's the same for our children. It's the same for our husbands. It's the same for families. It's the same for friends. We must choose healthier words that uplift, inspire, influence, encourage, empower, right? And then we must act. Your words must align with your deeds and your actions. I am constantly preaching this to my mentees, period. We spend time telling these boys it's words, deeds, and actions. God can shine anywhere, but when you align yourself in those three areas, God most definitely is going to produce. You heard the young lady said it. Her words, her deeds, and her actions are all lined up. And I just became a caregiver so I can get one of them packages for the fun of it.
How can we reach you?
So you can reach me either through my work number, which is 313-544-6167, through my website, which is www.alexisamour.beauty. So that's ALEXISAMOUR.beauty. Those are two of the ways that you can reach me. The work number will probably be the easiest because it is a work sale. So, and I am big on, it's not just about coming and getting services. If you are a parent of a special needs child, whether you live here in Michigan or not, you just need someone who understands, that will pray for you, that will share resources, that will find someone local to you that is willing to, reach out. I have no problem. Reach out. And you can also find me on Facebook under either Alexis Amour Beauty or my name, Taitiana Brantley.
My name is Dr. Calvin T. Mann, president and founder of Encourage Me, I'm Young. God bless you and encourage me, I'm young. Peace.